Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Coming up here, the Las Vegas Raiders' perfect 2023 offseason plan. I did it in 10 steps, and I'm really happy that I did because I need some sanity in my life. Now, a huge shout out to today's sponsor, True Classic Tees. If y'all want to go save 25% off your order, go to trueclassictees.com/chat. But make sure you use promo code chat. Don't worry, y'all. That link's going to be available for you in the comments and in the description of today's video. So my 10-step program this offseason to get the Raiders back on track. I am ticked off that this team went 6-11. You're going to have some money to play around with. You're going to be able to go out and get some dudes. So what I am going to illustrate right now are the 10 moves, the 10 most important moves that the Raiders need to make. The first one, got to trade Derek Carr. You trade away Derek Carr, you save all the money in the contract, but more importantly, you get extra draft picks. If you can get extra draft capital, that's a good thing. I would sit down with DC and I would adjust Carr's contract so he doesn't get the guaranteed money 3 days after the Super Bowl. That's something that I would also consider. You got to get rid of the no trade clause, and if you can get a first-round pick for DC, awesome. However, though, I would like to settle for a second or a fourth-round pick because there's going to be people out there that still think that DC is a top 12 quarterback. But then once Carr is traded, you're going to use that $110.68 million you save over the next 3 years and invest it into this year. If I'm McDaniels and Ziegler and I had the year that I just had and I see the way Raider Nation is realistically calling for their jobs, you got to go all in. You got to invest, and you can have the money to try to invest. Now, I know some of y'all are like, well, where do you think Derek Carr could end up getting traded to? Luckily for you, I made a video already, Derek Carr Destinations, and that video is going to be in the comments and in the description of today's video. Just another reason to hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, because we're pumping out a lot of content here on the Raiders Report. Let's go to the next step. You franchise tag Josh Jacobs. I want Jacobs back on this team, but I do think extending him isn't the right move. Franchise tagging Josh sets up the Raiders for the best this season, which is what I'm looking at right now. I do think that it's likely going to cost around $12.7 million. When you got a running back that led the NFL in rushing yards and he had over 2,000 total yards, he's incredible. The other reason, though, why I like the idea of a franchise tag is this. If Jacobs is like, no, I'm not going to play under this, trade me, well, guess what? Then you're going to be able to trade away Josh Jacobs and get even more draft capital, which coming off the year that he did, I would imagine it's going to be very high draft capital. So you think the Raiders right now have 9 picks. If you had to move on from DC, you had to move on from Jacobs, your draft capital is going to be looking pretty good. Now, if you do want to extend him, this is the contract extension that I would give. 3 years, $35 million, $22 million guaranteed, somewhere around $11.6 million per year. If y'all think I look good today, it's because I'm repping a True Classic tee. 25% off when you use promo code chat. I personally love the Essential 9-pack because it gives you variety in your closet, which I think we all could, use a little bit of variety in our closet. So end the old year with a new one and close that'll give you the confidence to tackle those 2023 resolutions. Thanks to our sponsor, True Classic. You'll have everything you need to hit the gym, take it slow, or treat yourself to something nice. Fellas, I'm talking to you. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men look great in less tees. Or look great in their tees, And now you can save big while you do so. For limited time only, get 25% off with code chat at trueclassic.com. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com/chat with code chat. That's 25% off with code chat, plus free shipping included on purchases over $100. I love these shirts because whether you're hanging out with your boys, whether you're going out for a golf game, if you're at work, date night, versatility. When I pick out my clothes, I like to be simple. I like to look at my closet, pick it out, know I'm going to be able to wear it, and know that I'm going to look good and be confident in it. It's trueclassictees.com/chat. All right, let's now go to the next step. It's signing Tom Brady. The reason why signing Tom Brady is on here is because, again, not that I love Tom Brady, it's just that's what I believe is the best thing for the Raiders, short and long term, and I'll explain that here. I don't really believe in McDaniels. So for that reason, go get a quarterback that's been able to show that his ability is to master the McDaniels system. He won 6 Super Bowls with him in New England. Mark Davis at one time tried to bring him in 2020. And the other reason is you bring in Brady is you want a quarterback who can teach the next guy, who can also help break things down for a team. If you have Tom Brady, it's an upgrade. Like, we got to be able to face the facts. Now, in terms of how much money he's going to cost you, I would hope that he takes a team-friendly deal. But if it's under $34.9 million, that's an upgrade. Derek Carr would have been $34.9 million. If you think Derek Carr is better than Tom Brady, I'm sorry, I'm going to respectfully disagree. The Raiders have a better running back, had a better wide receiver group, had a better tight end room, had a better offensive line. The offensive line for the Raiders, light years better than what Tampa Bay is dealing with right now. And if you were to put Tom Brady on this Raiders team this season, I do think it's a lot different of a conversation. So if he's willing to take less money, that's a win in your book. So would you accept Tom Brady as the Raiders quarterback? Not do you want him, but would you accept it? Would you accept him if he suited up in silver and black? Y for yes, N for no. I see somebody saying Brady old AF. Old AF Brady is better than Derek Carr. Sooner you all get that through your head, I promise you, you're going to be a lot happier. Let's go to the next thing that I would do. Sign Rob Gronkowski. This one is more for locker room fit. Also, it's on top of the fact that Foster Moreau is going to be a free agent, and I believe Foster is probably going to be looking for somewhere between $4 or $5 million. And I'm hoping that you can get Gronk for about $5-6 million. In 2021, in 12 games, Rob Gronkowski with Tom Brady as the quarterback on 89 targets, had 55 catches, 802 yards, and 6 touchdowns. With Moreau being the free agent, I think Gronk's going to cost you about $6 million. Also, probably one of the most dynamic offenses I've ever seen run by McDaniels was when Gronk and Aaron Hernandez were together. I'm not going to say this, or I'm going to say it. Some people might not like it. When I think of a pro comp to Waller, I think of Aaron Hernandez from a football standpoint. Off the field, Aaron Hernandez, obviously totally different conversation. But one of the best offenses I've ever seen New England run was that 2 tight end sets. And they're going to need another guy, so why not bring in a dude like Gronk? Next thing that you're doing, you got to start cutting players, or you can restructure contracts. In terms of some cuts that I would be interested in making, the first cut, and remember, if you're going to designate somebody as a post-June 1st cut, you can only do 2 of them. Brandon Bolden, set him as a post-June 1st cut, save $2.3 million. Andre James, post-June 1st cut, you save $5 million. Below Nichols, I get it, you're probably going to eat $3 million in dead cap space. Unless he restructures his contract, though, he wasn't good enough to me that where I'm like, he earned his money. I disagree with that. $3.1 million, though, if you cut him before June 1st. You do all those things, there's an extra $10 million. Go out and get yourself a good-time player. Now, in terms of restructures, Chandler Jones coming off his injury. He's going to make $19.4 million next season. I would try to restructure that. Kolton Miller took a step back this year. I would try to restructure his contract a little bit. And then even Hunter Renfrow. He doesn't have so many guarantees on the back end of his deal. So if I was like, hey, Renfrow, we'll give you some more guarantees on the back end if you're willing to take a little bit less money this season. 5 more steps to go for my Raiders. Perfect offseason. Bring back key free agents. They got a lot of free agents for the silver and black. So for me, I was like, all right, I'm gonna pick out 6 names. And these were the 6 names that I would circle on my chart and say, these are the 6 free agents that I'm hoping that the Raiders bring back the most. Denzel Perryman, he actually played pretty damn well in Patrick Graham's system. Rocky Ya-Sin absolutely needs to come back. Mack Hollins, I'll bet a lot of money that he's back on the team. Andrew Billings was the best defensive tackle on this roster. Bring him back. Duron Harmon knows the defense. Bring him back. And then Jermaine Eluemunor, not great, but his versatility alone makes me believe that they're going to have him on the team next season. So out of all the Raiders free agents, which free agent should the Raiders bring back in 2023? Most of y'all are going to say Jacobs. The reason why I didn't put Jacobs on that previous list is because earlier in the video, I said I would franchise tag him. Hence then, he wouldn't be a free agent. Next thing that you got to do, perfect offseason. If I said you're bringing in Tom Brady, you better upgrade the offensive line. So what I'm going to end up showing y'all, it's going to be a lot of graphics. And Chugs, you can roll through it rather quickly. You got to upgrade the O-line, whether that's being through the draft or whether it's in free agency. So what you're going to see on the board here is Kiper's top prospects on the offensive line. I think Peter Skoronski, Paris Johnson, those are the 2 dudes that I would potentially look at pick number 7. On the offensive guard standpoint, nobody's really going to go in the first round. I do like Zach Zinter, though. He was somebody in my mock draft. I mean, if I'm telling you you're going to move on from Andre James, okay, Alex Bars can't start, and then Jermaine Eluemunor is a free agent, that's 3 players on your offensive line. 3 players that you're going to have to potentially replace. So if you don't look in the draft for O-line help, that's crazy to me. Now, you might not have to take somebody super high because maybe you get somebody in free agency, and there are some good free agents out there. Like, if I'm going to spend money on a tackle, I actually probably, like, when I look at the free agent class, I would rather go out and get one of those top dudes in the draft, save my money on tackles and free agency because they're going to ask for a lot of money, and then invest it on the offensive guard. Like, the kid that I love the most in terms of bang for your buck, Isaac Seumalo. That's my dude that I like in terms of overall value. You put him in on the offensive line. Parham can play left guard or right guard. You find a good center. You add an offensive tackle in the draft. Those things are possible. From a center spot, too, though, Ethan Posick, he's a hell of a player. After that, it does get a little bit thin because I don't think Garrett Bradbury's all that great. I don't think Bradley Boozman's all that good. Connor McGovern, it's a little bit of a weird position for him. He's a player, though, to keep in mind. You need to upgrade your offensive line, and I can't stress that enough. Next thing that the Raiders need to do this offseason for the perfect offseason, find a quarterback to learn underneath Brady. Brady's not the long-term answer, but bringing in Brady, I do think helps you make the long-term answer. When I look at the 5 quarterbacks that I would have develop underneath Brady, there's 3 guys in the draft. C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. Stroud's the only one that I would take at number 7. These guys here, either you have to trade back up into the first round or hope that they're in the second at pick number 38. A lot of upside there, but honestly, man, none of these guys are ready to start in the NFL right away, so having them learn behind TB12 is good. In terms of Jordan Love, he's got 2 years left on his rookie deal. Get him for a 5th. Malik Willis, he was my number 1 quarterback last season. I think Tennessee would give him away for a 6th-round pick. Bring in these players who clearly aren't ready to go right away and have them learn underneath Tom Brady. Next thing you got to do, upgrade the D. Giggity. And kind of like what I showed about the offensive line, I am going to be rolling through a lot of players. On your defensive side of the football, they need everything. There is not a single position that I can sit up here and say the Raiders do not need an upgrade at. Defensive end, Chandler Jones is injured. For that reason alone, you need to add a defensive end. No doubt about it. Defensive tackles, I mean, the Raiders had arguably the worst defensive tackle room in the NFL last season. It's laughable. You need to upgrade. Brian Bresee scares the hell out of me, but there's some other really good names in this mix. Linebacker. Linebacker is one of the hardest position groups to really break down for me. But the only linebacker the Raiders had healthy at the end of Week 18 was Luke Masterson. Big time, you need to upgrade there. In terms of edge rushers or outside linebackers, Will Anderson, he's going to be off the board early. Yeah, you got Malcolm Kuntz. Sure, Divine Diablo's a good linebacker. He can maybe bring a little bit of pass rushing help. This team, though, if you keep letting quarterbacks hang out back there, they're going to pick you apart, which then puts your cornerbacks in a tough spot. Nate Hobbs took a step back. I believe that you got to put him back in the slot. Rocky Asin's a free agent. And besides that, you got a lot of unknowns at the cornerback position. I like Joey Porter a lot. Christian Gonzalez. I like Ringo. I want to do a little bit more research on the South Carolina cornerback Cam Smith. But there's a lot of good cornerbacks in this group. Safeties. We don't necessarily need a safety all that much. Now, yes, Duron Harmon is a free agent. I do like Merrick. None of these guys I would really take in the first round. However, though, if you decide to not bring back Harmon, then yeah, safety becomes a need. Now, those are all the draft prospects on the defensive side of the football. We are now going to look at the free agents on that side. Before I get there, though, I mean it. Interact with me, y'all. Instagram, Twitter is best place to find the news, though. Trivan, I can't figure. Twitter won't let me change my picture back. So I guess it's good, though, because you told me that you lost your Fu Manchu, so somebody's got to still be able to rep it. Coming up next, top defensive free agents, and yes, there are tons and tons of them. I know with the amount of money that the Raiders are going to have saved, this is where you're going to start investing. Defensive tackle spot. There's good defensive tackles. Javon Hargrave, Deron Payne, Dalvin Tomlinson. Those are your top 3, and then there's a clear tier break. You got to come out of free agency with one of these top 3 guys. From an edge rusher standpoint, I don't love the names. I'll be real with you. I don't love the top edge rushers in this year's free agency class, which makes me even more inclined to take somebody earlier like I did in my mock draft, like a Myles Murphy, an edge rusher in the draft. Linebackers, a lot of good linebackers. Now, Roquan Smith, when I was making the show, he just signed a contract, so he just signed his deal, so he's off the list. Lavonte David, hey, maybe Brady can convince him to come on down. Or Tremaine Edmonds. Watch out for Tremaine Edmonds. Super versatile player. Other top cornerbacks here, Jamal Dean, James Bradbury. I tried to tell you all last offseason, We need James Bradbury. He's been incredible for Philadelphia. Fits the Patrick Graham system. You need to add a vet. Safeties. A lot of also very, very good safeties in this list. I mean, it's loaded at safety. So I said earlier, I wasn't crazy about a lot of the safeties in the draft. A lot of amazing safeties in free agency. You need to spend big on defense because Raider Nation, we just can't take a shitty defense anymore. And then the final thing you need to do, go all in for 2023. By you going out and getting Tom Brady, that's essentially me saying that, yeah, you're going all in. Because if McDaniels can't win with Brady, there is no hope that that man is ever going to be able to win. If the Raiders win, great. You keep McDaniels. But I'm so sick and tired of this, like, oh, he's got 2 more years left. If you're not winning football games, he better not. Win, great. That's all we want, is to win football games. If not, get rid of him because he's a clown and he's not going to be able to win no matter what. You got to go win. Every person, players, coaching staff, needs to go all in 2023 because we can't have a repeat of what we had last season. So my question to you all is this. If the Raiders miss the playoffs next year, do you fire McDaniels? Type F for fire, type K for keep. Let me know what you guys are thinking. If you miss the playoffs, I mean, yeah, it's a big old fat F. F for me. So we're going to put a bow on this real quick here. This is my perfect offseason for the Silver and Black. Trade Derek Carr, get some draft capital. Franchise tag Josh Jacobs, $12.7 million. Go out, sign Tom Brady, bring in his buddy Rob Gronkowski. You got to restructure and cut some players to save some extra dough. Bring back key free agents, maybe like a guy like Denzel Perryman, Jermaine Eluemunor. Upgrade your offensive line because if you're going to go out and get Brady, you better upgrade the O-line. Find a QB to learn underneath Brady as the long-term plan. Upgrade your defense and then go all in for 2023.